Hey viewers, it's James Kalm, your cultural recon ranger. We're out on a Saturday afternoon in Chelsea. We're going to run into the ZWIRNER Gallery on West 20th Street. Thank you. And we're going to try to get some pictures of an Alice Neel exhibition titled Freedom, organized by Ginny Neel. Well, I'm not sure, but I assume Jenny Neel must be the artist's daughter. Oh, this is great. So, yeah, this first gallery is all dealing with motherhood, fecundity, childbirth. Well, we'll just walk through and make a quick overview of the installation. And I think this is actually quite appropriate. It looks like most of these are depictions of women and girls. And I believe yesterday was National Women's Day, something like that. We'll start here. This is one of the older pieces in the show. Symbols, Doll and Apple, 1932, oil on canvas. Well, unintentionally, probably over the last month or so, I've done reports on probably 10 or 12 women artists. There's been a lot of classic historical stuff and historical shows they've been doing. We did the Hilma af Klint Danish shoots. I went to a Mimi Gross show that I'll try to get back to later. This is titled Well Baby Clinic, 1928-1929. So I think maybe this is the oldest piece in the show. Now, I think Alice probably is a real icon of feminist art, and she was also a very energetic and engaged member of the New York art community. She also had quite a kind of a sense of humor. If you look at some of these faces. It's titled Degenerate Madonna, 1930. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the whole story is. I think that Alice had a couple of kids and she raised them by herself, had a hard life, kept working and painting and hanging out with the artsy people in New York. And eventually, maybe when she was getting up towards the retirement age, her career popped and she became a real superstar for maybe the last 20 years of her life. Strangely, a lot of these babies look like they're aliens. childbirth. Oil on canvases by 30 by 40, 1939. Well, I covered a Alice Neel show on one of David ZWIRNER's other galleries maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it's gotten a lot of views. I think this show is actually maybe more interesting because it gives you a much wider chronological framework to sort of see her work develop over the years. Also, I like the way that Alice is able to use a kind of distortion, an accentuation of certain kinds of elements to kind of maybe dramatize certain features. It's titled Pregnant Nude. It's 1967. And I have to say that Alice is a wonderful draftsperson. I've been commenting recently about painters that can draw with a brush, and Alice might be one of the best examples of a master of that. Also, her use of this kind of Payne's gray or blue line is nice. Margaret Evans Pregnant, 1978. This is 58 by 38. Now, I don't know what her process was for doing this. I don't know whether she went in and just would set up her easel and do these portraits, or whether she did a whole series of maybe drawings, studies, maybe smaller paintings, but there is a wonderful sense of spontaneous painting, kind of discovering the various planes and surfaces as she's making the painting. So she's kind of what I would call a brutal realist. You know, I like these blood vessels. Pregnant Woman, 1971. Talking about the drawing again, it's nice that she could leave a lot of this canvas blank, because she's got a little gray tint that she's put on there, but then when she's got the area that she wants to concentrate on, she can really focus in and get her details and kind of build up the paint there. Pregnant Julie, an Algis, 1967, 42 by 64 inches. Well, it says in the press release that they borrowed a lot of this from various private collections and museums. And, well, I admire what David ZWIRNER has done. He's got a nice program, and some of the shows like this really are museum-grade exhibitions. Okay, these eyes. It's pretty intense. That's the other part about Alice Neel, is that she is able to kind of capture these characters, the emotional back and forth between them. Pregnant Betty Hominsky, 1968, 60 by 36. It's a beautiful portrait. It kind of makes me think of the actress Karen Black. Yeah, okay, it's amazing. If you were to look at some of these parts individually, they look totally distorted and kind of grotesque, but when everything comes together, it fits pretty nicely. Look at a couple of drawings. Two women, graphite on paper. This is 1932. The Intellectual, 1929. It's titled Bronx Bacchus. Okay. I'm actually kind of impressed with her color sense in some of these early works. And yeah, you can see that she had a great touch. This is Joe Gould. Now, I'm not sure, but I think that Joe might have been one of her early lovers. And, oh gosh, we got before and after circumcision. I didn't realize that. And I think somehow there's a reference to one of the Hindu gods of Eros, fecundity, I'm not sure. Oh, this is a great piece. John Perrault, 1972, 38 by 63. Well, John Perrault was a influential art critic and poet. And John was the guy that curated the first pattern decorative show at PS 29, and I believe that was 1978, so maybe 3 or 4 years after this portrait was painted. And well, I met John later in life, and kind of admired some of the things that he was doing. Okay, this is great, the way that she's done his body hair. I think this is probably pretty shocking in 1972. And I think John might have been a gay activist and AIDS activist as well when all that broke in the mid-'80s. This is Andrew, 1978, 30 by 24. This is interesting. She's kind of filled in the whole canvas, but she's made the main figure more intense coloristically and tonally. And in the background, kind of 3 or 4 shades down. Kind of something about this makes me think of Egon Schiele's hands. This is Cindy Nemser and Chuck, 1975. Well, I guess maybe she did a whole series of nude portraits. And I was talking about the way that I appreciate her rendering of the figures, but she's also great with some of her still life objects. This couch that they're sitting on is beautifully painted. You kind of look at this and think of sitting in a Upper West Side living room, and hopefully it was in the summertime. Kind of light coming through the window. A watercolor and graphite on paper, untitled Alice Neel and John Rothschild in the bathroom. It's titled Alienation, 1935, 10 by 9 inches. Okay, we'll wrap up with the last gallery. It's titled Winifred Mesmer, 1940, oil on canvas, 36 by 30. It's probably one of the darkest coloristically speaking paintings in the show. I think in a certain way Alice Neel would be running parallel to what was the social painters. People like Raphael Sawyer, some of Stuart Davis's early work, or maybe some of the regionalists. It's titled Ruth Nude, 1964. I think it's maybe she started to develop her style and flatten out some of the brushiness. There was also almost a sense of pop art. Like maybe Wayne Thiebaud was kind of coming on the scene. Warhol and his Maryland silkscreens. Leda Nude, 1960. Yeah, I was reading a little article about Elaine de Kooning, and they were talking about her series of portraits of men. And I would say this is probably about the same time, maybe late 50s, early 60s. And they do kind of share a certain kind of action school East 10th Street touch. This is another great piece. Pat Ledoux, 1949, 26 by 34. And so you can already see her kind of blue-gray line. I like the pattern in there and the way she kind of uses these bends of the elbows to echo some of the zigzags in this. It's like a Navajo quilt. And yeah, that's a scary looking cat. Oh, but she captures a great expression there. And yeah, the light on that forehead and the nose, it's great. Isabetta, 43 by 25. It's 1934-35. Yeah, I think this one is coloristically very nice. And yeah, I kind of get a little echo of Balthus in there. Some of his adolescent girls. Although this young lady's got a different attitude. This is Nadia Nude. Okay, I like the way that she's kind of distorted this hip, and there's kind of a strange echo of forms between the wrinkles in the bed and that kind of overextended pelvis. And then the face actually looks like kind of a kabuki actress, kind of ghostly. This is 1933. Just one more. The capstone. Okay. We're going to wrap up looking at this. This is titled Annie Sprinkle, 1982. I think this is probably a really appropriate piece to end on. It's 1982. I think this might be the oldest or the newest, one of her last pieces that's in this show. And as I said, it's great to be able to look at this kind of chronologically. And you not only see the development of her style, but in a certain way you can also see the development of the idea of women. You're closed. All right, okay, thank you. Thank you. Beautiful painting. I will, thank you. Okay, so they're running us out. This is James Kalm reporting on Alice Neel, Freedom, here at ZWIRNER, 537 West 20th Street in Chelsea. You can like this, subscribe and share, and you can leave your comments, criticisms, ideas, and reviews below. But as always, we say thank you, Kate. Whoa!
Thank you! We're the Hungry March Band.
Hungry March Band?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Hungry March Band.
Yeah.